actually in the external respiration, gases will be exchanged between the alveoli of the lung as well as the blood circulating the alveoli. And blood actually here actually occurs as a media, whereas in internal respiration, the oxygen actually is the respiration is carried out at the tissue level, where exchange of gases will take place between the blood as well as the cells. oxygen binding protein, that is a chlorocronin. Now its affinity for oxygen is very, very weak when compared to that of the hemoglobin. And it is similar to erythroquinine, no doubt, but and it is actually noted for appearing green in oxygenated as well as in the deoxygenated state. That is, it is green in color, whereas hemoglobin is red in color. The next is hemoerythrin. Now, hemoerythrin actually is not a heme protein, but it is purple in color when it is oxygenated and becomes colorless when it is reduced. And it is generally found in cypolinicates as well as in the branchiopod. And the last one is the hemocyanin. Now, hemocyanin actually is a blood pigment which is generally seen in the gastropods as well as in the cephalopod mollusk, especially crustaceans, arachnids, as well as the limulus. Now, these are the four different, the respiratory pigments that are basically seen in the majority of the vertebrates. Apart from this, you also have the pinaglobulin. Now, pinaglobulin actually is a brown colored pigment which contains manganese, and it is usually found in the plasma of lamellibranchs. Next is vanadium. Vanadium actually is a green color pigment. It has got vanadium and it is found in sea skirts, that is ascidians. The next is erythrochrorin, which is found in many annelids, including earthworms, and it is actually consists of iron and heme-bearing protein subunits. The next is the myoglobin. Myoglobin is found in the muscle tissue of most of the vertebrates, including the humans. It has again red or dark gray color. It is, and it is similar to hemoglobin in structure. Then next is ectochrome, which is found in sea urchins, and the last one is the molpadin, which is found in the molpadia of Holothria. So these are the different respiratory pigments that you see in majority of the animals. So we all know what is respiration. We have seen now respiration is nothing but it is the oxidation of the foodstuffs with the result or with the release of the energy. Now this energy is essential for the breakdown, or you can say metabolic activities, especially for the carrying the various metabolic activities of the cell. Now we have seen the three different types of respiration, that is the external respiration, internal respiration, as well as the cellular respiration. External respiration is here in this, the exchange of gases will occur between the alveoli of the lung as well as the blood circulating around the alveoli. And in internal respiration, exchange of gases will take place between the blood and the cells. Whereas in case of the cellular respiration, the exchange of gases will occur inside the cells. So that is why we say it is cellular respiration. Now, the various important metabolic activities, especially that electron transport mechanism, the glycolysis, as well as the Krebs cycle, they all come under the cellular respiration. Now, this cellular respiration actually involves the enzymes which are basically present in the cytoplasm as well as in the mitochondria. Now, next is the respiratory pigment. As you all know, the unicellular organisms doesn't have the well-developed systems, right from the digestive system to the excretory system. So whatever the mechanism that they perform, it is only through the process of diffusion, because they are single cell and their body is very, very flexible. And since they do not have the compact systems, even the respiration will occur through the phenomena of diffusion. So the respiratory gases as such can easily or directly will diffuse into and out of the body. Whereas in case of the complex animals, like in the mammals, here the respiratory gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide, are transported with the help of the circulatory system. So for in case of the complex animals, that is especially in case of the mammals, you need to have a circulatory system. Circulatory system is very important for the transport of gases. Now, transport of gases. So circulatory system is well developed in case of the mammals. So here in this, the blood actually is not the actual carrier of respiratory gases, but it contains the respiratory pigment. So the various types of respiratory pigment that we observe in case of the mammals, we have discussed just now. So these respiratory pigments actually have got great affinity for oxygen, and also they increase the oxygen binding capacity. So as well as the oxygen carrying capacity. So that is why respiratory pigments play a very, very important role in the transport of these gases. So the various respiratory pigments that are observed or that are seen in various mammals include hemoglobin, then chlorocronin, hemoerythrin, and hemocyanin. These are the four major pigments. Hemoglobin, as you all know, it is present in majority of the animals. It is a complex compound made up of heme as well as the globin. The red color that is present in the blood is nothing but due to the hemoglobin only. And next is this hemoglobin actually is practically found in almost all the vertebrates. And it has got an high oxygen binding capacity, which not only increases the total blood oxygen capacity to 70 times, but also it will bind to the 4 oxygen molecules at a time. Next is your chlorine. Now, this chlorocronin actually is found in most of the annelids, especially in the marine polychaetes like Serpulidae as well as Sabelidae. But it has got very less affinity. That is, it is weak with reference to the oxygen binding capacity as well as with reference to the oxygen carrying capacity when compared to the hemoglobin. Then next is your heme erythrin. Now, heme erythrin actually is not a heme protein, but it is purple in color, and it is mostly present in saponiculate as well as in the branchiopod. And the last one is the hemocyanin. Now, hemocyanin actually is a blood pigment of the gastropod as well as the cephalopod. And basically, also the crustaceans, arachnids, as well as the limulus. So it is found in this. Apart from these four, you also have the different pigments. That is, one is called as a pinaglobulin. Pinaglobulin is a brown colored pigment. It contains manganese and it's found in the lamellibranchs as well as the pinna. Then second is the vanadium, which is green colored pigment. It has got vanadium and it is found in some sea skirts. Then you have erythrochlorine, which is found in most of the annelids, including the earthworms. Earthworms. And next is myoglobin. Now, myoglobin actually is found in muscle tissue of most of the vertebrates, including the humans. Now, this myoglobin actually, it gives the muscle tissue a distinct red or dark gray color. So, myoglobin actually is a muscle, what is it? It is a protein, we can say, which is present in the humans, and it is gives that red color or the dark gray color. It is very similar to hemoglobin in structure, but it is not a tetramer, but it is actually a monomer that lacks the binding, and it is used to store oxygen rather than to transport it. So actually, basically, it transports the it transports the it transports the it actually helps in storing the oxygen rather than in transporting. The next is the echinochrome. It is found actually in the sea urchins. And last is the molpadine, which is found in the molpadi of Holotheria. So today we have discussed about what is respiration, what are the different types of the respiratory pigment which play a very, very important role or a crucial role in the mechanism of respiration. So respiration is nothing but it is the oxidation of the foodstuffs. So whatever the food that is being taken up has to be oxidized so that it can be utilized in the form of energy. So through the oxidation of foodstuffs, what happens is there will be a release of energy, and this energy, whatever the energy that is being released through the process of respiration, will be helpful in carrying out the various metabolic activities of the body. So that is for today. We will finalize over here only. No. Okay. Next week, we'll talk about the human respiratory system. Now, as you all know, the human respiratory system. Okay. The human respiratory system actually is carried by a pair of alveolar lungs. Lungs are the respiratory organs in majority of the vertebrates. Now, these respiratory organs are the various parts of these respiratory organs, especially the lungs, are very, very important. Now, the system, that is the respiratory system, will include the nostrils, nasopharynx, epiglottis, trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveolar sacs, as well as the alveoli. These are the different parts of the respiratory system. So almost all the parts, each part of this respiratory system plays a very, very important role. So first is the nostrils, followed by the nasopharynx. Now this nasopharynx will lead into epiglottis, followed by trachea. Then you have got the bronchus. Bronchus consists of a number of branches, which we call it as the bronchioles. Then bronchioles will lead into the alveolar sacs, and the alveolar sacs will lead into the alveoli. So the alveoli actually is the important part. Now these external nostrils actually, they will open outside, just above the upper lip, which leads into the nasal passage. And this external nostrils will lead into the nasopharynx chamber. The nasopharynx chamber again is followed by the epiglottis. So the nasopharynx actually opens through the epiglottis into a long tube, which we call as the trachea. Trachea is nothing but the windpipe, and it passes through the neck and it will extend up to the thoracic region. Then this trachea will lead into the bronchus. Now, to this trachea, there is also an cartilaginous box attached to it, which we call is as the larynx. As you all know, larynx actually is also called as the sound box. Now, this trachea, which is covered with the larynx, will lead again into the right and left branches, which we call it as nothing but the primary bronchi. Each bronchus again will go on repeatedly dividing into the secondary as well as the tertiary bronchi, as well as the bronchioles. So that is, the bronchi are nothing but they are the branches. So these bronchi, they will divide into primary, secondary, tertiary, tertiary, and these branches actually basically are called as nothing but the bronchioles. Now the terminal part of each bronchiole will actually lead into the alveolar sac, and lastly the alveolar sac will lead into nothing but a structure which we call it as the alveoli, where actually the exchange of gases, that is the oxygen as well as the carbon dioxide, will take place. Yeah.